Welcome back to Next-Gen Diecast for the start of round 1 here in race 2 of the 2021 Next-Gen Piston Cup. Today's races will be featuring groups 1 and 2. Before we get started, let's take a look at the current driver standings going into race 2. H.J. Hollis leading the way. He was the winner of race 1 and locked a spot into the final race of the season. Only the top 16 drivers will advance on to race 3. Tim Treadless in 16th with 10 points. If that story remains the same, these drivers will be looking to have at least 20 points at the end of race 2 to have a shot at advancing. Well, let's introduce our drivers for Group 1. First up, it's number 64, Barry DePedal. DePedal sits 29th in the standings with 7 points and 1 heat win. Next up, number 121, Noah Gocek. Gocek sitting in the top 8. He's 8th in the standings with 17 points and also has a single heat win. Next up, number 4, J.D. McPillar. McPillar had a rough race 1, and he is currently dead last in the standings with just 6 points. He'll have to turn it around today. Number 51, Cruz Ramirez, is last up for our Group 1 drivers. She is currently 30th in the standings with 7 points. She had some bad luck in the first race. Let's see if things go her way today. Group 1, Heat 1, the drivers are ready to go. It's Gocek and Barry DePedal in row 1, and then it's Cruz Ramirez and J.D. McPillar in row 2. The drivers are ready to go, and we're ready for racing. Here we go, race 1. Great race going into turn 1. Gocek will lead. Here they come down into turn 2. Good lead for Gocek. He'll hold on to that lead here in Heat 1 and take the win. DePedal second, Ramirez third, and then McPillar in fourth to start things out. Good clean run for everybody. But Gocek was able to hold the inside. Got a little sideways coming out of turn 1, but he was able to hold on to the lead. And then he just never looked back. A good clean line. And he will take the 5 points to start out the day. You guys may also notice some new garages. That's right, we built new garages. The drivers complained about some lighting issues that we had in race 1. So we said, well, what do you do when you have electrical issues? You tear the building down, you start from scratch. That's what we did, new and improved. But hey, Noah Gocek leading the way with 5 points. DePedal with 3 points. Cruz picked up 2. And J.D. McPillar in the back with 1 point. Drivers are ready to go for the second heat. It's Barry DePedal and J.D. McPillar in row 1. Back in row 2, it's Noah Gocek and Cruz Ramirez. Gate drops. Here we go. McPillar will lead going through turn 1. Here they come down in the turn 2. Good battle for second. McPillar opens up a big lead. He'll take the win. And DePedal just over Ramirez at the line. Gocek finishes in fourth. And let's watch the battle for second. Going into turn 2, DePedal throwing the block on Ramirez. And then watch Ramirez trying to make the move, and DePedal with the block slams Ramirez into the wall and will take the 3 points. So after 2 heats, McPillar now leading the way with 6 points, but we have a 3-way tie. Gocek and DePedal also have 6 points, and Ramirez in the back with 4 points. The drivers are staged for Heat 3. It's J.D. McPillar and Cruz Ramirez in row 1. And in row 2, it's Barry DePedal and Noah Gocek. This is a close group. 2 heats to go. And we are racing. Good start for Cruz Ramirez. She'll lead through 1. Cruz gets sideways into the wall. McPillar and DePedal go around her. McPillar is going to come to the line and take the win. And Cruz passes DePedal at the line for second. DePedal third. And Gocek, well, the DNF, he's up in the grass at the exit of turn 2. Watch Ramirez had such a great start, then gets sideways into the wall. McPillar and DePedal both go around her. And then watch coming down to the line here. Ramirez finding some momentum is able to pass DePedal before they get to the line and take that extra point. And watch Gocek overcorrecting and down into the barriers. So after 3 heats, J.D. McPillar leading the way now with 11 points. Barry DePedal in second with 8 points. Ramirez down in third with 7 points. And Gocek with just 6 points. 1 heat to go. The drivers are set and ready for the final heat. It's Cruz Ramirez and Noah Gocek in row 1. And then back in row 2, it's J.D. McPillar and Barry DePedal. Can McPillar hold on and win the group? Here we go. Good race going into turn 1. Cruz leading, coming out of turn 1. She spins. Cruz turns it back around, coming through turn 2. Here they come to the line. It's Cruz just ahead of Gocek. McPillar third, and then DePedal in fourth. Good finish at the line between the top three. So watch Cruz coming out of turn 1 into the wall. She spins around, and then she throws it back around coming into turn 2. And then coming down to the line, she finishes just ahead of Gocek to take the win, and then McPillar right behind those two. DePedal comes through in fourth. So J.D. McPillar will win Group 1, and he will be advancing on to round 2. McPillar finishes with 13 points. Cruz in second with 12 points, and then Gocek and DePedal tied with 9 points apiece. It's another tough break for Cruz Ramirez, this time missing out by just 1 point. Well, let's introduce the drivers for Group 2. First up, number 5, Eric Breaker. Breaker sitting 7th in the standings with 25 points, and he's got 3 total heat wins. Next up, number 54, Herb Kerbler. Kerbler 18th in the standings with 10 points, and he's got just 1 heat win. Next up, number 24, Chase Racelot. Chase sitting 17th in the standings with 10 points, 1 heat win, and he is right there on the verge of getting into the top 16. And last up, number 33, Ed Trunken. And Ed Trunken sitting 27th in the standings with 8 points. All right, Group 2 is ready to go for their first heat. We've got Eric Breaker and Chase Racelot in row 1, and then Herb Kerbler and Ed Trunken in row 2. Can Breaker win his group for the second straight race? Here we go. Gate drops. We're racing. Good race going into turn 1. Breaker's going to take the lead. Breaker with a big lead coming through 2. Kerbler spins. Trunken and Racelot around. It's going to be Racelot in second, and then contact between Kerbler and Trunken at the line. All mayhem breaks loose at the finish line. Breaker with the win. So let's see what happens here. Breaker with a big lead coming around turn 2. And then watch Trunken and Racelot. They're going to spin in tandem coming down towards the finish line. Racelot all kinds of trouble. He's into the wall. Gets across the line for second. Trunken third, and Kerbler was in fourth. But Eric Breaker, in the midst of all of that, does put down one of the fastest track times of the season with the 8.469. So after the first heat, Eric Breaker is going to lead the way with 5 points. Racelot in second with 3 points. Trunken picked up 2, and then Herb Kerbler back in fourth with 1 point. So Eric Breaker, he had a great round 1 in race 1, and he picks up right where he left off. So the drivers are ready to go for heat 2. It's Chase Racelot and Ed Trunken in row 1, and then Eric Breaker and Herb Kerbler in row 2. Good opportunity for Chase here, starting out front. Can he take advantage of it? Here we go. Chase is going to lead the way, going down into turn 1. Trunken following behind in second. They come around in turn 2. Chase is going to win, and Breaker makes the pass on Trunken coming down to the line. Kerbler finishing in fourth, and watch the replay. Watch the pass. Trunken into the wall, and Breaker sees the door open. He takes advantage of it. Makes the pass. He'll take the extra point and finish second. And that will be good enough to keep him first in the standings right now after 2 heat races. Eric Breaker and Chase Racelot are tied with 8 points apiece. But Eric Breaker does have the tiebreaker with the faster time. Ed Trunken back in third with 4 points. And then we've got Herb Kerbler in fourth with 2 points. Drivers are ready for heat 3. Ed Trunken and Herb Kerbler in row 1. And then we've got Chase Racelot and Eric Breaker in row 2. Both Trunken and Kerbler desperately needing some points. Here we go. Gate drops. Coming down into turn 1. Kerbler is going to lead the way. Trunken looking to battle back and make a move going into 2. Kerbler still leading. He spins. Contact, and it's going to be Kerbler at the line over Trunken. Chase finishes third. And Breaker coming to a stop before he got to the finish line. He will not score any points. Watch Trunken make a great run coming off turn 1, but Kerbler able to hold the inside, hold his position, and then he spins after hitting the wall coming off turn 2, but he's able to hold on to the win, and that's going to tighten things up a bit in the standings. So after 3 heats, Chase Racelot leading the way now with 10 points, Breaker in second with 8 points, Kerbler third with 7, and Trunken back in fourth. He also has 7 points. So this is going to be interesting with just 1 heat to go. So for the final heat, it's Herb Kerbler and Eric Breaker in row 1. Ed Trunken and Chase Racelot in row 2. Racelot leading in the standings, but he's starting in the back. Gate drops. It's a brilliant start for Herb Kerbler. He'll lead coming out of turn 1. Kerbler continuing the lead. They come out of turn 2. It's going to be Kerbler at the line. Breaker second. Trunken third. Chase spun and came to a stop before the finish line. He'll get a DNF in the final heat. But what a run for Herb Kerbler. Super fast, super consistent. He got some air coming out of turn 2. And he'll win back-to-back heats. And that is going to be good enough to give Herb Kerbler the win here in Group 2 as he finishes with 12 points, just 1 point ahead of Eric Breaker. And it is a super disappointing third-place finish for Chase Racelot after leading through 3 heats. And then we've got Ed Trunken back in 4th. And here are the updated driver standings after the first couple groups here in Race 2. You see Herb Kerbler and JD McPillar highlighted in yellow. Those are the 2 group winners for today, and they will be advancing on to round 2. So they will have another opportunity to put points up on the board here in Race 2. You look at Chase Racelot not advancing on to round 2, but he did get 10 more points. He's at 20 total. We talked about 20 points probably being what these drivers are going to need to have a shot at advancing on to the next race. And then Cruz Ramirez, Ed Trunken, Barry DePedal not reaching that 20-point goal. So we'll see if their totals will be enough, but they are certainly going to need some help. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Welcome back to Next-Gen Diecast for the continuation of Round 1 here in Race 2 of the 2021 Next-Gen Piston Cup. Today's races will be featuring Groups 3 and 4. Let's introduce the drivers. First up, number 36, Rich Mixon. Mixon sitting 31st in the standings with just 6 points. He's got a lot of work to do today to get through to the next round. Next up, it's number 11, Chris Roman. Roman currently sitting 28th in the standings with 8 points and no heat wins. Next up, number 48, Aaron Clocker. Clocker currently 24th in the standings with 9 points, and he did have 1 heat win in race 1. And last up, it is number 20, Jackson Storm. Storm sitting 19th in the standings with 10 points and 1 heat win. Well, it is time for some racing. Group 3, Heat 1. Is Jackson Storm and Aaron Clocker out in row 1, and then Chris Roman and Rich Mixon in row 2. Drivers are ready to go, and we are ready for some good racing. The gate drops, race 1 is underway. Storm leads them through 1 and 2. Here they come down into turn 3. Storm still leading. Battle for second behind him. It's going to be Storm taking the win in the first heat. And a race to the line. Mixon just over Clocker for second. Roman finishing in 4th. Watch the battle for second going through turn 3 and 4. Mixon was up on 2 wheels for a second. And then Clocker spins around. Mixon gets into the back of him, and then at the line, Mixon just edging out Clocker by maybe a fender for second place. So Jackson Storm will lead the way after the first heat with 5 points. Rich Mixon picks up 3 points. Aaron Clocker with 2 points. And then Chris Roman just with 1 point. And we are set for the second heat. Aaron Clocker and Rich Mixon in row 1. And it's Jackson Storm and Chris Roman in row 2. And we are back racing again. Good start for both Clocker and Mixon. They race down to turn 1. Mixon's going to lead coming out of 2. Here he comes all by himself coming out of turn 4. It's going to be Mixon at the line. Clocker second, Storm third, and Roman in 4th. It was a great battle for the lead going into turn 1, but watch Mixon. He's going to get a great run out of turn 2. And then he's got a big lead coming into turn 3. A little oversteer. You see a battle for second between Clocker and Storm. And Mixon going to pick up his first win of the season. followed by Aaron Clocker. So standings after 2 heats. Rich Mixon now leading the way by 1 point over Jackson Storm. And then Aaron Clocker sitting in third, 3 points off of Mixon. And Chris Roman with a rough start, back-to-back 4th place finishes with just 2 points at the bottom. So the drivers are ready for Heat 3. It's Rich Mixon and Chris Roman in row 1. Aaron Clocker and Jackson Storm in row 2. Green flag back out at Thunder Mountain Speedway. Mixon will lead him through 1 and 2. Roman spins. Mixon's going to pull away. Here he comes out of turn 4. It's Rich Mixon. He'll take the win again. Roman finishes 2nd, Storm 3rd, Aaron Clocker in 4th. It's a good battle again through 1 and 2. Mixon gets into the wall coming out of turn 2, and then Roman spins, and that allowed Mixon to pull away and run away with his 2nd straight win. Chris Roman did get his best finish of the day as he finished in 2nd. And so now, 3 heats into this, Rich Mixon has opened up a 4-point lead over Jackson Storm. Aaron Clocker back in 3rd with 6 points, and then Roman in 4th with 5 points. So this is between Mixon and Storm, and Mixon just needs to score at least 2 points in the final heat to lock up this group. So 1 more heat to go. Heat 4. Chris Roman and Jackson Storm in row 1. Rich Mixon and Aaron Clocker in row 2. All the pressure on Storm. Starting in the outside of row 1. The final heat is underway. Storm's going to make the pass going into turn 1. He leads. Storm and Roman spin. Here they come around turn 4. Storm leads. He'll win his 2nd race. Roman 2nd, Clocker 3rd, and Mixon in 4th. So both Storm and Roman would spin coming down the middle straight. And that would slow up Mixon. I think Mixon was making a run until Roman spun right in front of him. And then you'll watch Storm and Roman ping-ponging off the walls as they cross the finish line in reverse. Jackson Storm, with that win, he ties Rich Mixon in points. But it's not going to be enough. Rich Mixon had the faster time today, and that'll give him the tiebreaker. So Rich Mixon, the winner of Group 3, and he will be advancing on to round 2. Jackson Storm finishes 2nd, and then you've got Chris Roman and Aaron Clocker tied with 8 points apiece. Let's introduce the drivers for Group 4. First up, it's number 15, Harvey Rodcap. Rodcap sitting 22nd in the standings with 10 points, and he has 1 heat win. Next up, number 92, Sheldon Shifter. Shifter sitting 11th in the standings with 11 points, and he also has a single heat win. Next up, number 90, Paul Conrev. Paul sitting 10th in the standings with 11 points, and he was one of the faster drivers in the first race to not advance to round 2. And last up, number 68, H.J. Hollis. Hollis is the points leader, sitting atop of the leaderboard with 49 points and 8 heat wins. Heat 1, the drivers are staged and ready to go. It's H.J. Hollis and Paul Conrev in row 1, and then Sheldon Shifter and Harvey Rodcap in row 2. The gate drops and Group 4 is off. Conrev will lead him going down into turn 1. He spins. Hollis and Rodcap spin as well. Conrev is all by himself. He's into the catch fence and across the line for the win. Hollis and Rodcap will race to the line for 2nd. It's going to be Hollis over Rodcap. Shifter finishing in 4th. What a chain of events. Watch Conrev. He's going to get airborne in reverse coming out of turn 4. And then he's up into the wall and into the catch fence. If that catch fence wasn't there, he ends up inside the garages. And then you see Hollis beat out Rodcap by about a car length for 2nd. So what a crazy race to start here in Group 4. Paul Conrev with an 8.445 puts down the 5th fastest time of the season. And he will lead in the standings after the first heat. Conrev with 5 points. Hollis with 3 points. Rodcap has 2 points, and then Sheldon Shifter in 4th with 1 point. We are set for Heat 2. It's Paul Conrev and Harvey Rodcap in row 1, and then H.J. Hollis and Sheldon Shifter in row 2. The gate drops and we are racing again. Good race between Conrev and Rodcap. Rodcap's going to take the lead. Here they come into 3. Conrev pulls up right behind him. It's going to be Rodcap at the line. Conrev 2nd, Shifter 3rd. And then H.J. Hollis is up at the top left of your screen with a DNF. He got stuck at the exit of turn 4. But watch this great run from Rodcap coming out of turn 2. And then Conrev will pull up nose to tail coming through turn 3 and 4. And then Rodcap beating him out by half a car length at the line. And H.J. Hollis, for the first time this season, would get a DNF and not score any points. So after 2 heats, Paul Conrev leading the way with 8 points. Harvey Rodcap second with 7 points. And then we've got Sheldon Shifter and H.J. Hollis tied, both with 3 points apiece. The drivers are back at the line for Heat 3. It's Harvey Rodcap and Sheldon Shifter in row 1, and then Paul Conrev and H.J. Hollis in row 2. Here we go. The gate drops. We're racing. Conrev with a big push on Rodcap. That'll give him the lead. Rodcap leads coming down to the 3. Conrev tries to close the gap, but it's going to be Rodcap winning his second straight race over Conrev. Shifter in third, and Hollis with another DNF. Watch Conrev, big bump draft on Rodcap going down into turn 1, and then Rodcap just carries that momentum all the way down into 3. He gets into the wall a little bit coming through 3 and 4, and Conrev was able to close the gap, but it was too little too late. And then we'll watch H.J. Hollis, who kind of climbs the track there and just straight down into the grass. Back-to-back DNFs for our points leader. So Harvey Rodcap moves into the points lead with that win. Now just 1 point ahead of Paul Conrev. So Rodcap and Conrev going back and forth. And then we've got Shifter in third with 5 points. And unexpectedly, the points leader, H.J. Hollis, just 3 points after 3 heat races. And now just 1 more heat to go. Heat 4, it's Sheldon Shifter and H.J. Hollis in row 1. And then in row 2, it's Harvey Rodcap and Paul Conrev. The race is between Harvey Rodcap and Paul Conrev. Who will advance to the next round? Gate drops. Final heat is underway. Shifter will lead going into turn 1. Shifter spins. Here they come into turn 3. Rodcap around Hollis on the outside. Down to the line, it's Shifter over Rodcap for the win. Hollis third. Conrev in fourth. They would play bumper cars going down into turn 3. Rodcap would make the pass on Hollis for second. And then Rodcap would pull nose to tail with Shifter, but nowhere to go to make the pass, and Shifter would get his first win of the day. But it's Harvey Rodcap that will win Group 4 and advance on to round 2. Harvey Rodcap finishes with 15 points. Paul Conrev second with 12 points. It was Sheldon Shifter down in third with 10 points. And then H.J. Hollis, our points leader, finishing down in fourth with just 5 points. Here are the updated driver standings, just 4 groups in to race 2. Harvey Rodcap and Rich Mixon will be joining Herb Kerbler and J.D. McPillar in round 2. Cruz Ramirez, Ed Trunken, and Barry DePedal have been knocked out of the top 16 and will not be advancing on to race 3. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed these races, and we will see you back here next week. Take care. Welcome back to Next-Gen Diecast for Groups 5 and 6 of Round 1 here in Race 2 of the 2021 Next-Gen Piston Cup. Let's get ready to introduce the drivers of Group 5. First up, it's number 31, Cam Spinner. Cam is currently 25th in the standings with 9 points. Next up, it's number 19, Danny Swervez. Swervez is 23rd in the standings and he has 10 points. And next up, it's number 76, Will Rush. Rush is 20th in the standings, and he also has 10 points. And last up, it's number 61, Tom W. Tom is 9th in the standings with 11 points. These 4 drivers are ready to go racing. For the first race, it'll be Tom W. and Will Rush in row 1. And then in row 2, it is Danny Swervez and Cam Spinner. And the engines roar as they race down to turn 1. Good battle for the lead. Rush will make the pass on Tom. Here they come through 3 and 4. It's going to be Will Rush taking the first race. Tom second, Suarez third, and Spinner finishing in fourth. There was some great side-by-side racing going through 1 and 2, but as we've seen over the last few weeks, the high line coming out of turn 2 has had a lot more momentum, and Will Rush was able to use that to his advantage and start out the day with a big win. Will Rush also putting down one of the fastest times of the season, the fourth fastest time with an 8.375. Rush will be on top of the leaderboard after the end of the first heat. He's got 5 points. Tom has 3, Danny Suarez with 2, and Cam Spinner with 1. I would like to take a second to give a shout out to one of our viewers, Michelle Reed. We want to thank Michelle and each and every one of our viewers for all of the support that you guys have given us since day one. We really appreciate each and every one of you. So the drivers are back ready to go for Heat 2. It's Will Rush and Cam Spinner in row 1, and then Tom W. and Danny Suarez will start in row 2. Green flag back out. Rush will lead him down into turn 1. Rush pulling away from Tom. Opens up a big lead. He's all by himself out of turn 4. Rush will win back-to-back races. Tom spins. Contact between Suarez and Tom at the line, but Tom will hold on to second place. Suarez third, and Spinner finishing in fourth. Another great run for Rush with back-to-back wins and super fast times, both in the low 8s. And I think he may have had a faster time that race had he not got sideways before the finish line. You see the contact between Suarez and Tom. So after 2 heat races, Will Rush now leading by 4 points over Tom. Rush has 10 points. Tom has 6. Suarez back in third with 4 points. And then Spinner in fourth with just 2 points. Rough start for Spinner. Just 2 more races to go for Group 5. Cam Spinner and Danny Suarez will be starting in row 1. And then it's Will Rush and Tom back in row 2. We'll see if Spinner can turn things around. Starting out front. It's a good start for Cam. He'll lead him down into turn 1. Spinner is around. Going into turn 3. There's contact. Rush into the grass. Suarez making a run. Here they come to the line. It's going to be a photo finish between Suarez and Spinner. Our timing and scoring system showing Suarez beat him by 3/1000ths of a second. Rush is over in the grass in turn 3. What a race. Watch Spinner, he gets sideways, and then going into turn 3, Rush gets into the wall. He ends up down in the grass. Suarez had a big run coming through 3 and 4, and he waits till the last second to change lanes and make his move, and beats him by inches. What a finish at the line. Cam Spinner thought that race was over. I mean, he thought he had won the race, but it was Suarez waiting as late as possible to make that move, and it paid off for him big time. So now at the end of 3 heats, the standings shake up a bit with Rush getting the DNF in the third race. So Will Rush still leading with 10 points, but Danny Suarez now just 1 point behind him with 9. And then Tom just 2 points off the lead. He's got 8, and Spinner back in fourth with 5 points. So the final heat for Group 5, it's Danny Suarez and Tom W. in row 1. And then in row 2, it's Cam Spinner and Will Rush. And the final race is underway. Good race going into turn 1. Suarez will lead. Tom pulls up right beside him. Here they come into 3. Rush into second. Coming down to the line, it's going to be Suarez winning back-to-back races. Rush will take second. Tom in third. And Spinner finishing in fourth. It's a great battle for the lead between Suarez and Tom. And then Suarez putting on the block. That opened up the door for Rush on the outside of Tom for him to take second. But it was too little too late to try and make a run on Suarez. So Danny Suarez will win back-to-back races. And that's going to be good enough to give him the win here in Group 5. And he will be advancing on to round 2. Danny Suarez had just 4 points at the end of 2 heat races. He was 6 points off the lead. And he finishes strong with 2 wins, and he's moving on to the next round. Rush finishes second, just 1 point behind. Then it was Tom in third with 10 points, and then Cam Spinner in fourth with 6 points. Well, now it's time to introduce the drivers of Group 6. First up, it is number 35, Ronald. Ronald is currently 26th in the standings with 9 points. Next up, number 117, Spiky Phillips. Phillips is currently 15th in the standings, and he has 11 points. Next up, number 82, Conrad Camber. Camber is currently 14th in the standings with 11 points. And last up, it's number 80, Dan Garcia. Garcia's in the top 5. He's 5th in the standings with 27 points. The drivers are set and ready to go for their first heat. It's going to be Dan Garcia and Conrad Camber in row 1, and Spiky Phillips and Ronald in row 2. And Group 6 is off. Dan Garcia will lead him going into turn 1. Garcia into the wall. He flips. He's still going in reverse. Ronald makes the pass for second. At the line, it's going to be Garcia. Garcia beats Ronald. Phillips with a last-second pass on Camber to take third. What an exciting race to start Group 6. Garcia did a complete barrel roll after hitting the wall at the exit of turn 2. And then he beats out Ronald by half a car length at the line. Phillips the last second pass. We saw Cruz Ramirez do the exact same thing in the first race. She was unable to finish that race, and this time around, though, Dan Garcia not only finishing the race, but taking the win. And hey, you'll take them how you can get them. It's a 5-point start for Garcia. He'll lead the way. Ronald in second with 3 points. Phillips with 2 points, and then Conrad Camber scores just 1 point. For race 2, it'll be Conrad Camber and Ronald starting out front in row 1, and then Dan Garcia and Spiky Phillips in row 2. Gate drops and we're back racing. Good run for Camber going to turn 1. Ronald on the outside. He'll make the move for the lead. Here comes Ronald out of 4. He'll take the win. Camber spins, and it's Garcia beating out Camber for second. And Phillips with a DNF. He is stuck in the middle of turn 3 and 4. So another super exciting race. Ronald taking the high line and using it to his advantage. Great run out of turn 2 to take the lead. And then he was gone with a blistering lap. And then watch Camber, he spins, and Garcia says, hey, get out of my way. I got to score an extra point. So a super fast time for Ronald. That is the second fastest time this season with an 8.252, just beating out his teammate Jay. And with that win, Ronald ties Dan Garcia in points, but he has the tiebreaker with the faster time. So Ronald will lead, Garcia in second, and then Camber in third with 3 points, and Spiky Phillips at the bottom of the standings with just 2 points. We are set for race 3. It is Ronald and Spiky Phillips starting in row 1. And then in row 2, we've got Conrad Camber and Dan Garcia. And the green flag is back out. Good battle going into turn 1. Ronald and Phillips side by side. Phillips spins. Ronald will lead him coming out of 4. Ronald will win back-to-back races. Phillips second, Garcia third, Camber in 4th. I really thought Phillips was going to make a run and put some pressure on Ronald, but he got loose, hit the wall, spins around, and that let Ronald run away with his second straight win. And then Phillips would come through in second, Garcia, and then Camber. Everyone finishing the race that time around, but with Ronald's back-to-back wins, he is now the points leader with 13. Garcia in second with 10 points. Phillips back in third. He's got 5 points. And then Conrad Camber in 4th with 4 points. Just one more race to go. Spiky Phillips and Dan Garcia will start in row 1. Ronald and Conrad Camber starting in row 2. And the engines will roar one last time today. Garcia with a big lead through 1 and 2. He spins. Phillips will close the gap. Here they come through 3 and 4. Garcia turns it around and he will win. Phillips finishing second, Ronald third, Camber in 4th. It was a great battle between Garcia and Phillips for the win. But watch Camber spin. Ronald says not today. Knocks him right out of the way, scores the extra point, and that 1 extra point will be good enough to get Ronald through to the next round. Ronald and Garcia tie in points, but Ronald had the tiebreaker with the faster time. So Ronald will be advancing on to round 2. Garcia finishes in second. Phillips finishes down in third, and then it was Conrad Camber finishing in 4th. And here are the updated driver standings. 6 groups into round 1. Danny Swervez and Ronald will be joining the 4 other group winners in round 2. Conrad Camber, Spiky Phillips, and Cam Spinner did not put up enough points today to get themselves into the top 16. And then Chase Racelot and Sheldon Shifter have been knocked out of the top 16, and that will be the end of the road for those 5 drivers here in the 2021 Next-Gen Piston Cup. We would like to thank everyone for tuning in to the Next-Gen Piston Cup, and we will see you all back here next week. Take care. Welcome back to Next-Gen Diecast for more of the Next-Gen Piston Cup. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Dominic. Dominic, thank you so much for all your support and for being a part of the channel. I hope you continue to enjoy all of the racing. First up for Group 7, it's number 21, Ryan Laney. Laney sat 21st in the standings at the end of race 1. Next up, number 28, Tim Treadless. Treadless barely held on to a top 16 spot at the end of race 1. Coming into race 2, in the top 4, it's number 57, Jun Yi. And also holding a top 4 spot coming into race 2, it's number 123, Jonas Carvers. We are 6 groups into round 1 here in race 2, and we have yet to have a repeat group winner from race 1. Can Jun Yi or Jonas Carvers turn that around here in Group 7? They start out front for the first heat. The gate drops and we're racing again at Thunder Mountain Speedway. Jun Yi will lead him through 1 and 2. Carver's on the inside making a run. There's contact. Jun Yi with a great run out of turn 4. He'll win the first race of the day. Carver's second, Laney third, and then Tim Treadless back in 4th. Carver's made a big run on Jun Yi going into turn 3, and then Jun Yi closed the door quickly through the block, and that allowed him to run away with it coming out of turn 4. To take the first race of the day. Jun Yi will start out on top with 5 points. Jonas Carvers has 3. So the battle continues between VCD 132 Racing and Dom's Tuner Shop. We've got Ryan Laney with 2 points. Tim Treadless picked up 1. For Heat 2, Jun Yi and Ryan Laney will start out front in row 1. And then Jonas Carvers and Tim Treadless will start in row 2. The gate drops and we're back racing. Jun Yi's going to lead him through 1 and 2. He's pulling away going into turn 3. Jun Yi into the wall. He flips over into the grass. Laney's going to slide across the finish line in first in front of Carvers. Treadless third, but Jun Yi is upside down in the grass after a huge crash at the exit of turn 4. What a scary moment for Jun Yi. Watch him coming into 3. He's low through 3, goes high in turn 4, and he makes contact with the outside wall, and then he sails over the inside wall into the grass. You saw Laney throw the block on Carvers to take the win. Big impact with that outside wall. Does a full 360 in the air before coming down into the grass and flipping over. The TMS safety crew is on site, and they're going to have to get Jun Yi a load of Gasprin for that massive hood ache he'll have after such a wild ride. Laney will be the new points leader 2 races in. He's got 7 points. Carver's up to 6 points. Jun Yi stays stuck with 5, and then Treadless in the back with 3. So Jun Yi's back and ready to race. We'll see how that big crash affected him. Ryan Laney and Treadless starting out front, and then Jun Yi and Carver's starting in the back. Green flag back out. Laney will lead going down into turn 1. He gets sideways and spins. Carver's pushing him all the way down into turn 3. Laney's going to lead out of 4 in reverse. He'll take the win. Treadless second. And then Jun Yi's going to come down in third. We lost Jonas Carvers, I believe, in turns 3 and 4. Watch him give Laney a push all the way down the mid-straight. And then Treadless coming out of nowhere on the outside forces Carvers down into the grass. Carvers isn't going to be too happy with that. That's going to cost him some major points. And then Ryan Laney winning back-to-back races. That's going to give him a big points lead going into the final race of Group 7. Laney has 12. He's 5 points ahead of Jun Yi. And then Carvers and Treadless are tied with 6 apiece. So all Laney has to do in the final race is finish that race, score 1 point, and he'll have Group 7 locked up and advance to the next round. Treadless and Carvers will start in row 1. Laney and Jun Yi will start in row 2 here in the final heat of Group 7. Here we go. They race down into turn 1 for the final time. Carver's on the outside. He'll lead him coming out of 2. Carver's trying to pull away from Treadless. It'll be Carver's with a blistering time winning the final race. Treadless second, Junyi third, Laney in fourth. What a run for Carver's. Super smooth and consistent. And he just put down the second fastest time of the season. Ryan Laney would finish the race and get that 1 point he needed to secure the group win. Jonas Carver's with the second quick time of the season with an 8.183, and now Dom's Tuner Shop as the two fastest drivers this season. Ryan Laney winning Group 7. He'll advance on to round 2. He scored 13 points. Carver's in second with 11, and then Junyi and Treadless were tied with 9 points apiece. So we've got just one more group to go here in round 1 of race 2. Group 8. First up, it's number 52, George Newen. Newen sat 13th in the standings at the end of race 1. Next up, it is number 70, Richie Gunzit. Coming into race 2, Gunzit was 12th in the standings. And next up, number 94, Jay. Jay would hold a spot in the top 6 at the end of race 1. And last up, the driver currently holding the fast time here at Thunder Mountain Speedway, Michael Roeder. This is the final group of round 1 here in race 2 with just one more spot remaining in round 2. Will Michael Roeder or Jay be able to repeat their success from race 1? Group 8, let's boogie. Good race going into turn 1. Jay and Roeder battling it out. Roeder gets sideways. Coming through 4, he's in reverse. Gunzit to second. Roeder turns it around. It's Gunzit taking the win. Gunzit with the last second pass. Jay getting around Roeder as well. Roeder was in reverse. He turns it around, and that leaves the door open for Gunzit and Jay to make the last second pass. Big win for Richie Gunzit. He'll start out with 5 points. Jay with 3, Roeder with 2, Newen with 1. What a way to start the final group here in round 1. The drivers are back at the line, ready to go for the second race. Jay and Newen will start out front. Roeder and Gunzit in the back. We're back racing again. Jay will lead him through 1 and 2. He's pulling away from Roeder. Roeder spins behind him. Jay's all by himself. He'll blister the field with a fast time, and he finishes almost 3 seconds ahead of second place. Great run for Jay as he tries to be the first driver to win his group in round 1 of race 1 and then win his group again here in round 1 of race 2. Jay will take the points lead with 8 points. Gunzit with 6 points. And then we've got Roeder and Newen tied with 4 points apiece. Just 2 more races to go. Newen and Gunzit will start in row 1. And then Jay and Roeder will start in row 2. Green flag back out. Newen leads him into turn 1. Jay into second. He spins. Newen does a 360. Jay pulls up right behind him. Here they come out of turn 4. It's a race to the line, and it's going to be Newen over Jay. Gunzit finishes in third. And then we've got Roeder at the entrance of turn 3 talking with Sheriff. Watch Newen does a complete 360 going down into turn 3. That allows the rest of the group to pull right up behind him. And then Roeder, the blue car at the top of your screen, he's like, I'm going to pull up and have a little chat with Sheriff. Great run down to the line. Jay makes a run on Newen, and then Newen throws the block at the last second to make sure he takes the win. So Jay will hold on to his points lead. He's got a 2-point lead over George Newen. Gunzit back in third. He's just 3 points off the lead. And then Roeder, just 4 points, 3 races in. Just one more race to determine which driver will advance on to round 2. Gunzit and Roeder starting in row 1. And then we've got Newen and Jay starting in row 2. And the final race is underway. Gunzit off to a good start. He'll lead him through 1 and 2. Roeder on the inside. He's going to make the pass for the lead. And it's going to be Michael Roeder winning the final race of the day. Gunzit finishing second, Newen third. And then it was Jay in fourth. But Michael Roeder, what a great pass going into turn 3 on the inside of Gunzit. And he finishes the day on a high note with a big win. And then Jay scoring just 1 point in the final race. It is going to be just enough to get him to squeak by into round 2. Jay will win Group 8 with 12 points. Gunzit and Newen tied with 11. and then Rotor finishes in 4th with 9. So here are the updated driver standings at the end of round 1 here in race 2. The 8 drivers advancing on to round 2. We have Jay, Harvey Rodcap, Danny Swervez, Ronald, Ryan Laney, Herb Kerbler, Rich Mixon, and JD McPillar. You'll notice that Rich Mixon and JD McPillar are currently not in the top 16, but they will have another opportunity to score points in round 2 and get themselves into the top 16. Unfortunately for the rest of these drivers outside of the top 16, that will be the end of their run here in the 2021 Next-Gen Piston Cup. In the team standings, Dom's Tuner Shop still holding strong and holding a 34-point lead over VCD 132 Racing, and then Crime Syndicate Racing holding on to their spot in the top 3. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the racing, and we will see you all back here next week for the final group of round 1 in the Legacy Piston Cup. Take care. Welcome back to Next Gen Diecast for round 2 of race 2 here in the Next Gen Piston Cup. We'll go ahead and introduce the drivers of Group 1. First up, it's number 4, JD McPillar. And next up, number 36, Rich Mixon. And next up, number 54, Herb Kerbler. And last up, number 15, Harvey Rodcap. These 4 drivers are looking to secure spots in the top 16. McPillar and Kerbler starting out front. Mixon and Rodcap in the back. Let's go racing. Good race down into turn 1. Kerbler on the outside. He'll get the run out of 2. He spins. Rodcap trying to make a move for the lead. Here they come down to the line. It's going to be Kerbler. Rodcap finishes 2nd, McPillar 3rd, and Mixon in 4th. Great racing through 1 and 2. Kerbler got the run on the outside coming out of turn 2. Then he got turned around, and he was able to fend off the challenge from Rodcap and hold on to the lead in reverse to take the first race. Herb Kerbler will lead the way after 1 heat. He's got 5 points. Rodcap with 3 points. McPillar has 2, and Mixon with 1 point. For race 2, it's going to be Kerbler and Rodcap starting in row 1. McPillar and Mixon will start in row 2. The gate drops. Here we go down into turn 1. Kerbler will lead. He spins. Here comes Rodcap on the outside. He'll take the lead. Coming out of 4. Rodcap all by himself. He'll win the 2nd heat. Kerbler 2nd, McPillar 3rd, and Mixon in 4th. Rodcap in reverse, going around Kerbler on the outside, going into turn 3. And at that point, he would pull away from Kerbler. He wins by a 2nd, and he will tie Kerbler now in points. So after 2 heats, Kerbler and Rodcap tied with 8 points apiece. They both have 1 win. McPillar in 3rd with 4 points, and then Mixon, a rough start. Just 2 points so far after 2 races. We'll see if he can turn it around in race 3. For race 3, Rodcap and Mixon starting in row 1. Kerbler and McPillar in row 2. The gate drops, and it's a great start for Rodcap. Kerbler pushes through to 2nd. Rodcap with a big lead coming down into turn 3. Out of 4, Rodcap will win back-to-back races. Kerbler 2nd, McPillar 3rd, and Mixon 4th. What a run for Harvey Rodcap as he leaves the rest of the field behind to win back-to-back races. Kerbler following suit in 2nd again, and McPillar making the pass on Mixon just before the line to take 3rd. So 3 heats in, and this is a race between Rodcap and Kerbler. Rodcap has 13 points. He's got a 2-point lead over Kerbler. McPillar in 3rd with 6 points, and Mixon with just 3 points. He's going to need to find a way to score at least 1 or 2 more points in this last heat to lock himself into the top 16. One race to go. Mixon and McPillar starting out front. And here we go for the final race. Mixon gets the jump on McPillar going into turn 1. He'll lead him into 3. Mixon pulling away. He'll win the final heat. Here comes a battle for second. It's Rodcap. Rodcap will take second over Kerbler. McPillar finishing in 4th. Rodcap would spin coming out of turn 4, come to a stop, and then McPillar gets into the side of him. And then they would have a race to the line for second. Rodcap takes it. And then Kerbler a bumper ahead of McPillar to finish in 3rd. So it's Harvey Rodcap and Herb Kerbler advancing on to the final here in race 2. Mixon and McPillar did pick up enough points to lock themselves into the top 16. Well, now it's time to introduce the drivers of Group 2. First up, number 21, Ryan Laney. Next up, number 35, Ronald. And next up, number 19, Danny Swervez. And last up, number 94, Jay. Here in Group 2, it's a battle of teammates. Norman Verne Racing, Ryan Laney and Danny Swervez starting out front, and then Jay and Ronald of VCD 132 Racing starting in the back. And Group 2 is underway. Good start for Laney. He spins coming out of turn 2. Jay makes the pass for the lead. Swervez to second. And it's going to be Jay winning the first heat. And then we've got a photo finish between Laney and Swervez for second. The door would open up on the inside for Jay. He makes the pass for the lead, and then Swervez made the pass for second, but watch Swervez. He gets into the wall. He spins. That opens up the door for Laney, and Laney comes back to take second, beats his teammate out by a bumper at the finish line. What a good race to start out here in Group 2. Jay will lead in the points. He's got 5. Laney with 3. Swervez has 2, and Ronald has 1. For Heat 2, it's Danny Swervez and Ronald starting in row 1. And then Ryan Laney and Jay starting in row 2. And the gate drops and we're back racing. Good start for Ronald. He'll make the pass and take the lead out of turn 2. Here comes Jay, pulls up nose to tail with his teammate. And it's going to be Ronald winning the second heat. Jay finishes second, Swervez third, and Laney in 4th. What a great job by the teammates. Ronald and Jay pushing through on the outside lane to take first and second coming out of turn 2. Jay would make a run on his teammate, and then coming down to the finish line, he gets into the wall and spins. That allows Ronald to easily take the win. But a good race between the teammates, and Jay will hold on to the points lead after 2 heats. Jay has 8. Ronald in second with 6 points, and then Laney and Swervez tied with 4. So Norman Verne Racing, Laney and Swervez, they've got some work to do going into Heat 3. And for Heat 3, it's going to be Ronald and Jay starting in row 1. They will certainly have the advantage. Swervez and Laney starting in row 2. And the green flag is back out. Good start for Jay in the outside lane. He'll lead out of turn 2. He gets loose. Ronald makes the pass for the lead. Coming out of turn 4, it's a good race to the line, and Ronald will beat out his teammate for the win. Laney finishes third and Swervez in 4th. Ronald would get a little help from Laney going into turn 3. Little bump draft there, pushes Ronald through. Then Jay gets a great run out of turn 4 to hold on to second. Ronald slides across the finish line just ahead of Jay to take the win. And we've got a tie for the lead now. Ronald and Jay tied with 11 points apiece. Laney has 6, Swervez with 5. Remember, the top 2 advance to the final. So Laney's going to need a win, and Jay or Ronald to get a DNF in the final race. So 1 heat to go. Jay and Laney will start in row 1. Ronald and Swervez starting in row 2. And the engines roar one last time today. Contact between Laney and Jay. Laney's around. Jay with a big lead coming out of turn 4. He'll spin and then take the win of the final race. Laney in second, Ronald third, and Swervez in 4th. What a run for Jay through 3 and 4. Then he gets loose into the wall, does a full 360 before crossing the finish line to take the win of the final race. That may have been a new fast time on this track, but unfortunately loses control coming out of turn 4. So VCD 132 Racing, Jay and Ronald advancing on to the final here in race 2. Disappointing run for Norman Byrne Racing, Laney and Swervez finishing in third and fourth and will not advance to the final. Here are the current driver standings at the end of round 2. Jay is now just trailing Hollis by 1 point for the lead. Jay, Harvey Rodcap, Ronald, and Herb Kerbler are the 4 drivers advancing on to the final in race 2. Rich Mixon and JD McPillar put up enough points on the board to get themselves into the top 16, and that would knock out Will Rush and Paul Conrev. We've got another great battle for the lead going on in the team standings, with Dom's Tuner Shop now just 5 points ahead of VCD 132 Racing. Dom's Tuner Shop did not have any cars advance on to round 2 here in the second race, and that has opened the door for VCD 132 Racing, and they will have a great opportunity to take the lead in the final of race 2. Thank you for tuning in to the Next-Gen Piston Cup, and we will see you all back here next week. Take care. Welcome back to Next-Gen Diecast for the final of Race 2 here in the Next-Gen Piston Cup. Make sure to check out jlhcrafts.com for all of your diecast racing accessory needs. The link will be down in the description below. Well, now it's time to introduce our 4 finalists. First up, the four-wheel drive number 54. It's Herb Kerbler. And next up, the rookie from Rusty's Racing Center, number 35, Ronald. And next up, the Easy Idol number 15, Harvey Rodcap. And last up, another rookie currently second in the standings, number 94, Jay. These drivers will compete in 4 races. The driver with the most points at the end of those races will be the winner of race 2 and clinch a spot in the championship race at the end of the season. Jay and Rodcap starting out front for race 1. And the finals of race 2 is officially underway. Good start for Jay. He leads him out of 2. Rodcap spins. Good run for Jay through 3 and 4, and he'll win the first race of the day. Rodcap coming through in second, and then Ronald will take third. It looks like we lost Kerbler as he has scored with a DNF. He is stuck in the grass in between turns 3 and 4. So good run for Jay coming out of turn 2. Rodcap gets turned around by Kerbler. And then Jay looked really good going through turns 3 and 4 before getting a little loose. He was able to hold on and take the win. Rodcap in reverse, bouncing off the walls in second. And Kerbler just spun going into turn 3 and ended up in the grass. Rough start for him. But it's a great start for Jay as he opens up the final here in race 2 with a big win. Jay opens up with 5 points. Rodcap in second with 3 points. Ronald has 2, and then Kerbler at the bottom with 0. We are set for race 2. Rodcap and Ronald starting out front in row 1, and then Jay and Kerbler in the back starting in row 2. The gate drops and we're back racing. Good start for Rodcap. Jay passing Ronald for second. Jay spins. Big lead for Rodcap. Rodcap spins and he crawls across the finish line to take the win. Jay in second, Ronald third, Kerbler finishing in fourth. The inside lane got such a good start. Rodcap would open up a good lead. Jay moving into second over his teammate before spinning, coming down the mid-straight. Rodcap had a big lead, but he spins and just barely makes it across the finish line with Jay coming in hot. Rodcap will tie Jay in points with that win. Jay does have the tiebreaker with the fastest lap. So Jay and Rodcap tied with 8 points apiece. Ronald in third with 4 points. And then Herb Kerbler at the bottom with just 1 point. 2 races in, and we've got a great battle for the lead. Ronald and Kerbler will start in row 1. Rodcap and Jay starting in row 2. And the engines roar again. Good battle going into turn 1. Ronald leads coming out of 2. Kerbler goes to second. Here they come out of turn 4. Ronald will win. Kerbler second, Rodcap third, and Jay slides to a stop behind them and will score a DNF. There was some great bumper-to-bumper racing going through turns 1 and 2. Kerbler would move to second, put a bumper on Ronald, but Ronald had a great run coming out of turn 4. He would take the win. And his teammate Jay sliding to a stop will not score any points in this race. Watch Ronald coming out of turn 4, some big air, and he put down a great lap. Ronald scores the second fastest lap we have seen here at Thunder Mountain Speedway with an 8.134 and becomes just the third driver to get into the 8.1s. So 3 races in, Harvey Rodcap up to first in the standings. He's got 10 points. Ronald up to second with 9. And then Jay not scoring any points in race 3. He falls to third. He still has 8 points. And then Kerbler at the bottom with 4. So it's a great battle between Rodcap, Ronald, and Jay. One of those 3 drivers will win this race and lock a spot in the championship race at the end of the season. Kerbler and Jay starting in row 1. Ronald and Rodcap in row 2. And the final race is underway. Good race going into turn 1. Kerbler leads coming out of 2. Kerbler spins. Ronald with a big run on the outside. He's going to take the lead, but he spins and Jay's going to take the win. Jay comes out of nowhere to beat his teammate for the win. What a great battle going down into turn 3. Kerbler would spin. Ronald made a great run on the outside going around Jay, and he would pass Kerbler as well to take the lead. But then he would end up spinning around, and Jay would take the win. Ronald was not quite clear of Kerbler coming out of turn 4 before he cut down to the inside. That opened the door for Jay. He drives around both Kerbler and Ronald to win the final heat, and that will give Jay the win here in race 2. Jay wins with 13 points, 1 point ahead of Ronald, and then Ronald just 1 point ahead of Rodcap. What a great battle there at the end for the win. Kerbler finishes in 4th with 6, but Jay will lock a spot in the championship race at the end of the season. And another dominant performance for VCD 132 Racing, finishing 1st and 2nd. So in the driver standings at the end of race 2, we've got a new points leader. Jay into the lead. He's got a 12-point lead over H.J. Hollis. Those 2 drivers have locked a spot into the championship race at the end of the season. And these 16 drivers will compete one more time to see who the other 2 drivers will be fighting for a championship. We've got a new leader in the team standings as well. VCD 132 Racing takes advantage of Dom's Tuner Shop being on the sidelines here in the final of race 2. They take a 20-point lead, and for the first time this season, Dom's Tuner Shop finds themselves trailing. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us again today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all back here next week. Take care.